government to commence full dualization of the Calabar-Itu Road following release of funds to contractors.
Relevance correspondent takes a look at cloud chasers and social media addiction.
Thanks for staying tuned. And heads of state and government of 55 member countries of the African Union have begun in...
Correspondent of that President Buhari also joined other African leaders at the inauguration of the new headquarters building of the Committee of Intelligence and Security Services.
The Commission on Science and Technology for Sustainable published in 1994 of socio-economic application of science and technology. This breakfast meeting is a precursor to the Accra Forum 16 years ago to build bridges of cooperation, collaboration, brotherhood, and solidarity towards confronting emerging security challenges facing the African continent. From Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
In another development, Nigeria and Canada have resolved to deepen further the highly beneficial relations between the two countries in critical economic sectors for the benefit of their people.
This was the high point of a bilateral engagement between President Muhammadu Buhari and the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, on the emergence of the African Union Summit in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the Nigerian-born Masai Usiri is the president, basketball operations, and the victorious Toronto repertoire at the NBA Finals accompanied the Prime Minister to the talks.
Apart from sharing values such as multiculturalism, federalism, and Commonwealth membership, Nigeria and Canada also enjoy people-to-people ties, which provides solid foundation for increased engagement. This meeting between President Muhammadu Buhari and the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is a deliberate attempt at enhancing the relations in critical economic sectors for the benefit of the two countries.
It's a real pleasure to sit down with President Buhari of Nigeria, an opportunity for us to engage with a leader in Africa. Really, your leadership and your reflection on the current situation challenging Africa, but also the potential and the opportunities is something I'm very much looking forward to getting into with you. Canada and Nigeria have a long-standing and deep connections and friendship, and I very much look forward to this conversation and hearing your perspective on many big issues facing not just Africa but the world.
President Buhari had earlier appreciated the Canadian government for being one of the biggest customers of Nigeria's crude oil and supporting the country in critical areas of need, especially administration's willingness to deepen and expand with Canada, which he described as a double ally in development. Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyama gives further details.
To support the efforts of Mr. President in the
tuned. Now, cloud chasers is a popular term used on social media to describe those who deploy any means to attract fame and followership on social media platforms.
Well, it may be true that social media cloud opens up business opportunities, but what happens when the chase for these opportunities goes overboard?
Indeed, that's what we're going to examine as the social media reference and our correspondent, Ekemini Williams, digs deep in the special report.
I might not really speak anything or say anything, but at least I already pull out the crowd already.
Imagine a future where your worth is based on how many people repost, respond, reply, and follow you on social media. And this determines your ability to succeed, or at the very least, get preferential treatment. Now, if you think this future is far off, think again.
How about you? Why are you here? I really wanted to see Tonto Dike and Bobrisky.
People are here to see the celebrities and also to get the message that they are here to pass across to us.
In this day and age, many agree that social media is the new black in your wardrobe. a necessity.
The world is revolving and people want to revolve with the world.
The positives or negatives depend on your perspective. It could be a 9 or a 6.
Guys, I dey Abuja. Oh, hey, customer dey Abuja. It dey happen. Customer plenty. I'm chilling, guys. How are you guys?
Okuneye Idris Olarowaju is a cross-dressing social media sensation popularly called Bobrisky. He wields over 1 million followers on Instagram just by sharing controversial posts, most times very misleading. And many wonder why this is a trend in a conservative country like Nigeria, where alternative lifestyles are frowned upon. Is this where social media has left us?
I'm controversial, so that alone is pulling in a crowd.
However, it is on this very basis Bobrisky gains his relevance on social media.
People buy personality these days than brand. For instance, if people like me and I wear this brand, they want to wear it because I wore the brand. I know a page where someone just posts, just his lifestyle, and his lifestyle is not actually good, or what we would not, most people wouldn't see it as a good lifestyle. But he's posting it, and a lot of people are following him because of that lifestyle. They are being influenced negatively, but he is still a social media influencer because he has the numbers.
American model and TV reality star Kim Kardashian reportedly popularized the art of building fame on controversy in 2007 after she released a sex tape with her ex-boyfriend.
Would you be where you are had there not been a sex tape?
Now, just like music, you need a good hook to capture listeners. Same applies to the growing craze for social media popularity. Today, more and more people are chasing clout on social media using faulty measures to become famous.
My sister here is pregnant. She's pregnant for someone that doesn't want to claim the pregnancy. Davido!
Clout chasing has become a full-time job for some who become brand ambassadors and social media influencers.
8 hours at least for an average person, you're on your phone. And what do you do on your phone? You go to WhatsApp, Instagram, any of the social media platforms. So you spend more time on your phone than you would spend on TV or even listening to radio. So you see that it has more people. Maybe not the elderly, very elderly ones, but especially the youth. They are more on social media than even that on their TV or listening to radio. So, of course, any brand who doesn't recognize the influence of social media at this age is not looking to go far.
Statistics show the number of network users in Nigeria in 2018 were approximately 29.3 million, and this figure is projected to grow to 36.8 million in 2023. Therefore, for companies and brands to remain relevant in business, they must ensure a subsisting online presence.
Instagram has been really helpful. What I do, I just take a picture of my food, put the price, maybe say the name of the food. If I have a video, I post. Most of the events that we get for our venue comes from that social media.
There may be nothing essentially wrong with chasing online relevance, but for the way it is done these days, filling social media space with negativity and toxicity.
You take it from me, I'll be walking around like this. I will embarrass them.
There have been suggestions that youths be continuously enlightened and positive models to maximize the social media space as a tool for personal development. In Abuja, Ekemini Williams, NTA News.
And in the studio to discuss the craze for social media relevance and influence on the youth is Sarah Audu.
She is a blogger and a content creator at princessaudu.com. Many thanks for joining us on the News at 10, Sarah.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, good. Sarah, I want to know what, does social media mean to you, basically, and how this has impacted in your life positively as a media influencer and a blogger.
Yeah, social media for me is a platform for me to showcase skills and talents that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to do without social media. Now, beyond that, on social media, I know there are ups and downs, but it helps you to influence people in positive manners. Now, speaking as a blogger and content creator through social media, I have been able to advertise with brands, go to places that I never thought I'd be, and also have another side of income by learning skills such as video editing, social media management, content creation, which I can advertise through social media.
All right, Sarah, do you think it is healthy for young people to be so carried away by social media as they are these days, making it seem as if their life depends solely on it and the likes they get also from that?
Of course not necessarily. At the end of the day, you know, with things like this, there will always be two sides. There are people all of us on the platform are using social media for different reasons. It all depends on your perspective. There are people who are using social media as a tool for business, to sell themselves, and there are others who are, should we say, clout chasing, which is not necessarily the positive things, but there's a lot of good going on in social media and also a lot of bad. So it depends on how you use it.
All right. Now, you can always say that there's a positive side to it, which you actually talked about. And, you know, looking at the fact that, you know, it has to do with public enlightenment, you know, you can use it for business ventures as well. But now, what are the dangers, you know, associated with social media? And how can this, you know, have this impact on the lives of the young people, you know, so far we've seen so far?
Well, one of the dangers would be mental health challenges. We see a lot of people falling into depression because they're comparing highlight scrolls of a person's life on social media to theirs, which may not be great. But one thing people forget is that people brand themselves a certain way on social media. Just because a person is posting this doesn't mean their life is a reality. We've seen people come to say things, showcase certain negative behaviors or behaviors that don't suit with people's cultures or religion. So we've seen all those kinds of things on social media.
All right, Sarah, going forward now, what would you advise to young people to be on the safe side to use social media?
Okay, the first thing I want people to know is that social media is not always real. A lot of people post highlights of their life. Everyone wants to post the best picture, edited properly with the best filters, but at the same time, you need to be mindful and check yourself. You also need to know that social media is a great place to sell yourself, sell your skills, sell your business, sell your products, know how you brand yourself, but don't take things too seriously. Yes, there are people who have made it as beyond side income, full-time jobs, full-time careers, which is what I'm doing through social media. You also need to know that social media can be used to impact changes in government, in policies. We've seen this a lot coming up with the sexual offenders list coming up in states. That was all possible because of social media. So know how you use it. Follow the people that inspire you to grow, not people that make you feel bad about yourself.
Well spoken, Sarah. Well spoken. We like the fact that you shed so much light on it and you actually brought about, you know, the creativity and the business angle to the social media content. Now we're moving forward now. Many thanks, Sarah, and this is where we sign you out. Take care. Now, moving on, the federal government is set to commence full dualization of the Calabar-Itu Road by first week of March 2020. This follows the release of funds to the contractors.
The South Zonal Controller Federal Highways, Godwin Ike, disclosed this during inspection of road projects in Akwa Ibom State. Clement Berike reports that work has already reached advanced stage on other federal roads in Akwa Ibom State.
Work on the Calabar-Itu Road, particularly the 12-kilometer Akwa Ibom section, was suspended in 2019 due to funding. However, following the signing of the 2020 budget by President Muhammadu Buhari, which has paved way for funds to be made available to the contractors, life will soon return to the area.
They suspended work sometime last year due to inadequate funding, but that has been resolved. And I can assure you they are coming back to site first week of March to do the first 4.3 kilometers dualized.
Other federal roads in Akwa Ibom State that also attracted commendations from the people include the reconstruction of 19-kilometer Nongodo, Etinan, Ekoweman Road, where work has reached advanced stage.
A few years ago, about 14 people died, same time inside this water.
I appreciate the federal government. The federal government have done very, very well.
The project is planned to complete by the end of this year.
Contract for 39-kilometer Ikorekpene-Aba road has just been awarded, and the contractors are already clearing the site.
Ikorekpene-Ikoremoisien, which is the Abia state boundary, we have about 25 kilometers here. About Ikparakwa, we have 48 kilometers.
The road projects are what many described as links to economic sustainability, and this will certainly be achieved when completed in the next 2 years. In Uyo, Clement Barukui, NTA News.
Thanks, Clement. And this is the news at 10, reaching you live from NTA News 24. Still ahead.
Organized labor in Niger State suspends 4-day strike after agreement with the negotiating team of the state government. We have more news after this break.
This is NTA News 24 broadcasting from Abuja. You can watch us anywhere, anytime on the following platforms.
Start Times, Channel 101, Free TV, Channel 703, GSTV, Channel 419, and Go TV, Channel 46.
For more information, log on to our website, www.nta.ng, or join us on our social media handles, Twitter at NTA News 24, Facebook at NTA News 24.
For comments, suggestions, and inquiries, send an email to news24@nta.gov.ng or call us on the following numbers.
NTA News 24, news and more news.
News and more news, and many thanks for staying tuned. Now, revitalization of the textile industry value chain is seen as key in the creation of direct and indirect jobs for the growing young population in the country.
Business News Today takes a look at the opportunities in this sector, and Shimobi Walter Naje is our guide.
As at 2015, the world market for textiles made from organically grown cotton was worth over $5 billion. Out of this figure, Nigeria's textile industry in 2016 was estimated to be worth over 4.7 billion naira. Disturbing is the amount of textiles imported and smuggled into the country, which is estimated at $1.2 billion annually. To address these challenges, the Bankers Committee advocated the need for policy change and a new framework to give birth to the growth of the local textile industries so as to boost internally generated revenue and address issues of bottlenecks in access to finance for developing micro, small and medium enterprises. The committee at that meeting said modalities are being put in place to protect and revive the textile, garment and cotton industries in the country to create the incentives for the talented Nigerians going into textile industry value chain.
We're starting at the top of the value chain, and the next thing would be to make sure that most of the textiles can be, provided locally if you get the product right to make. Now, obviously, there is need for some policy changes and framework if you want the local textile industry to start again.
Months down the line, this initiative has developed into a hub of activities with the CBN's restriction of foreign exchange to importers of textile materials and indefinite closure of the land border to stem the tide of smuggling of such products. Just recently, the Central Bank of Nigeria provided a $19.8 billion loan to stakeholders in the textile industry through the Anchor Borrowers Scheme to build the capacity of industry key players in meeting up with the demands of the market, and further facilitated the signing of a memorandum of understanding between heads of military, paramilitary, police and the cotton growers, and of course other actors in the textile industry to ensure a ready market for the product.
You will agree that we have arrived at the juncture where we are opportune to establish a closer collaboration and ties to leverage on each other's strengths to spearhead patronage of our local textile and garment factories in procurement of uniforms going forward. To ensure confidence in the capacity of our local textile and garment factories, teams from the CBN and the armed forces and uniform services visit the factories to ascertain their capacities to meet the huge demand.
How has this so far affected the industry? Folake Oyemade and her counterpart Adenike Ogulesi has been in the business of garment manufacturing for over 20 years, and they tell me the interventions from the CBN and the land border closure by the federal government has positively affected their businesses and made them ready to take charge of the gains of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, which Nigeria is signatory to.
To be ready like that, you've got to have your systems, your processes. You have to have HSC standards. You can't just produce for anybody just like that. You have to have the systems, processes. Quality assurance is key, that every piece that comes out, it remains the same. From 1 to 1,000, they are the same.
We have a capacity of over 8,000 workers. And in the last 5 years, since the downturn, we've been operating at below 10% capacity. But ever since this intervention, we have moved up to at least about 50% capacity now.
In Abuja, I'm Chimobi Walter Naju.
Now, the Cross River State Governor, Ben Ayade, says driving force of his administration is a rapid industrialization of the state and the emergence of socio-economic infrastructural projects.
The governor stated this during an interview session with newsmen in Calabar while shedding light on his new agroeconomic empowerment scheme for youth known as G-Money or Green Money. Paul Abel completes the report.
G-Money is an intervention program by the Cross River State government which seeks to raise 1,000 youths as millionaires in its first phase through the provision of direct cash as take-off grants as well as plots of land for agricultural cultivation of various crops.
We have decided to take high-tech and sophistry in digital farming to progress to produce what we now call G-Money. G-Money is money from agriculture, from young people who are under the age of 27, green people, fresh from school, fresh from university, and making millions and millions of naira from agriculture. So the G-Money is a product of the agricultural policy direction of the present federal government of Nigeria. When we become self-reliant in terms of food security, then we can think of technology. Agro-industrial level is the first step.
The project, which cuts across the 18 local government areas of the state, is expected to not only provide employment for the huge youth population, but also curb crime and make the state self-sufficient in food production. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
Now, the third Nigerian International Petroleum Summit, NIPS, has kicked off in the nation's capital, Abuja.
The Pan-African event is designed as a meeting place for the oil and gas industry to introduce new technologies and share ideas for the development of new strategies to move the sector forward.
Indeed, and our correspondent Lydia Sampson is standing by to give us more insight on the opening of the event. Lydia, what is the outlook for NIPS 2020 like?
Thank you, Studio. The first and second editions of NIPS, held in 2018 and 2019 respectively, was applauded as attracting high-level attendance from across the continent and beyond. NIPS 2020 will consolidate on successes recorded as well as focus on technology, knowledge, sustainability and partnership to enhance inflow of foreign investment as well as improving success rates of indigenous business engagement. Of course, the usual networking for key political players, industry specialists and leaders in the private sector on the sideline will hold.
Thank you very much, Lydia, for the update from the venue of the Nigerian International Petroleum Summit just starting this morning in Abuja. Now, the Nigeria Immigration Service Cross River State Command is effectively being repositioned to enhance immigration management in the state.
And this is coming on the heels of the visit of a Swiss government delegation and the International Organization for Migration on facility while on assessment tour. Archibong Bassi report.
Switzerland government in 2011 signed a migration partnership with Nigeria on improving migration management. To this end, the Nigerian and Swiss governments come together every year to discuss areas on developing stronger ties and how to improve on migration management. The partnership focuses on several projects and cooperation, with one of the most essential being the Personnel Training Resource Center, funded by the Swiss government.
We implement a lot of projects together with the Swiss government actors. One of our partners is NIS, and so we came to visit some of our projects that we finalized, like this Personal Resource Training Center. So now we will discuss, see the results, and see how we will improve even further future collaboration together.
Comptroller, Nigeria Immigration Service, James Ezugu says the partnership is critical to the country's fight against irregular migration, especially smuggling of migrants.
The resource center at the command headquarters has done tremendously well. We've trained 444 officers already there on every aspect of migration management and border management and all that.
Coordinator, Personnel Resource Training Center, Mike Benz Ishola, says border management requires that migrants are properly managed, treated with dignity, and ensure that their fundamental human rights are not infringed upon. The team also inspected the Marina shoreline. In Calabar, Achibombasi, NTA News.
Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel says efficient and effective management of the social security scheme will go a long way to reducing agitations across the country.
The governor said this when he hosted the Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige. Susan Azuko, report.
The team, led by the minister, was received by Governor Udom Emmanuel at the Executive Council chamber. The governor hinted that the Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund scheme is pivotal to the social security of Nigeria. He charged operators of the scheme to carry out an intensive enlightenment and awareness program of the scheme, noting that the scheme, if properly managed, will go a long way to stem or reduce the rate of agitations in the country.
The people don't know what are their rights, what are their entitlements, what steps do they need to take, what do they have to do. So I think in this era of social media, a proper website educating people and simple awareness would also help.
Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, explained that Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund, an agency of the federal government under his supervision, is saddled with the responsibility of managing workers' social security and protection from work-related hazards.
It's a national law and is, so to say, mandatory. And the premium is cheap, 1% of the workers' payroll monthly. And you can get millions. Other benefits, when we give you the procure and the functions aspect, include that even if a worker dies while on that duty, the family will be taken care of.
In Uyo, Susan Asukwa, NTA News.
In the meantime, the organized labor in Niger State has suspended its 4-day strike after reaching an agreement with the negotiating team of the state government.
Announcing the suspension on behalf of the organized labor, the state chairman of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Yakubu Garba, says the suspension was equal to meeting 75% of their demands were not met. Dauda Mohammed report.
State Chairman, Nigerian Labour Congress, Comrade Yakubu Garba, announced resolutions reached between the organized labor and the negotiating team of the state government to include that discussions on the issue of pension resumes immediately, while taking cognizance of some key factors which include that government increased its 10.5% pension contribution to 13% in order to address the 7.5% pension liabilities. Government also agreed to release 2% of monthly internally generated revenue, IGR, to address 7.5% pension liabilities. These agreements shall take effect immediately. Deductions of the 7.5% The organized labor appreciated the people of the state and their members for their patience, support.
Abdul Malik, do you love donkey and do you care for them?
I do love donkey, and that was a fantastic, guys, stopping people having to take monkeys and kill them for pastation and all of that. But it's very close to us, and try as much as possible to be kind of loving to them. I think that's essential.
Of course, it will go a long way. Right. Yeah. All right. For a decade, the Nigerian military has been battling terrorists in the northeastern region and has succeeded in degrading the insurgents and regaining control of all territories that were under their control.
Acting General Officer